conscious and awaken, you heard about Starnetter TV. If you're conscious, why you hating? Some of us think too small, just too afraid to fall. If you're conscious and awaken, you know that the studio gets deep. Black news and history in the making. Let's get up from the fall, wise up and take it all.
Deep season.
All right. Peace and blessings, everybody. We finally got the doctor in the building. I hope y'all got y'all seatbelts ready. Yeah, I hope y'all got y'all seatbelts ready. First of all, we're gonna pump this all day through the show. Cause you know, they come here, they spend their time with us. Our elders come out. Y'all see the Patreon on the screen. I need my people to go get the link to his Patreon. Let's post it in the chat before we even get started. I see I got my man Bond Dog in the building. Bond Dog is here. I need Maxbury. Where Maxbury? Reese. Y'all see his Patreon. Let's get it. We got to support our elders, brothers, and sisters, because they spend their time with us to bring this information out. So get that link. Let's grab that link and let's keep that link flowing for our elders. I'm waiting on y'all so we can get ahead and get this thing going. How you been, though, Dr. Clyde? How you been, man? Hold up. I got to unmute you. How you been, though? All right, we hear you now.
Well, I've been good. I've been out in the streets today. It's a sunny day, so I went out and got melanated.
What's you in?
Melanated. I'm in Chicago area.
Oh, because it's gray over here. It's been gray all day over here, man. So, yeah.
It was gray most of the day here, too. But, you know, the sun had come out. I went out. I got some melanosynthesis. Melanosynthesis mean I went out there and I got some of that soul energy so I could let it invigorate the melanated body, make me feel good, baby. Ow! Mm.
Hey, you ever heard of Dr. Anthony Browder?
Yeah, I heard of the brother, you know.
Anthony Browder coming right behind you this Tuesday. So great plethora of information. Got to. Let's get that, let's get the link. I know y'all probably trying to find it. Can you say your Patreon link? That's what it is right there?
Yeah, that's the number 151-69177. Just go to Patreon, Clyde Winners, you know.
Okay. Let's get that, y'all. Patreon Clyde Winners. Let's get it. Let's get it. Don't put the equal sign in there or nothing like that. Just get the oh, no, not the Patreon. I meant to say Cash App. That's what I meant to say.
Oh, that's right there. $ OMAC capital O 98.
All right, that should be easy. There you go. And I think we got it. Thank you, my brother Reese. Family, I'm asking you, can you please show support for this elder right here who have taken his time off? Let me pin that link so I ain't got to keep saying it. Let's take who have been taking his time off to bring us this information. This is going to be great. Some of it, y'all probably never heard, because when I was on the phone building with him, I was like, wow, this is going to be dynamic. I have never heard of it. So he got a PowerPoint presentation lined up and ready to go for us. But I want to just ask him maybe 3 or 4 questions before he get into that. Okay? So we pinned his Cash App up there. Let's show the brother how we take care of our people. That's all I want to know. Let's show him how we take care of our people. Okay, thank you, man. Let's get this show started. The first thing I would like to know is why aren't we looking for the original people in Australia instead of Africa? Talk to us about that. Because we always say life began in Africa. Talk to us.
Life began in Africa, but what people don't understand, they taught you a lot. You see, I come on every Thursday to let people know about these lies that they've taught us in history. According to the European, people left Africa 60,000 years ago. That's wrong. People began to leave Africa 130,000 years ago. See, what you do is that they've made some wonderful archaeological discoveries, and through excavation, what that means is they dig in the soil, they found these ancient bones. And what they've done in a sense is that, you've been taught that there's one big nigger. No, there's not one big nigger. God created different Black people. The first people, in a sense, he created was the anatomically modern humans. That's what I'm talking about. The first anatomically modern humans that originated in Africa were the Australian people. That's why you see the Australian people still have a real strong, a really broad bridge over the eyes. That's to show their archaic nature. They originated in Africa. And now after they originated in Africa, some sailed to Australia, others walked. There used to be a connection. There used to be a connection between Africa and Australia. This connection was called Kumari Nadu. And these brothers, in a sense, they either walked across into Australia, or in a sense, what they did after that, they took boats. Then the second group that God created in Africa was the people that we call the Khoisan. The Khoisan people, they appear in Africa around 44,000 BC. I'm going off the archaeological evidence. The Khoisan, they were the first people, in a sense, they were the second people to enter Europe. And that was around 44,000, 46,000 BC. They introduced the Aurignacian culture and the Solutrean culture. These were the original Cro-Magnon people. Yeah, I know Diop in his book, he talks about that the Cro-Magnons were Europeans. No, they were Black. They were, in a sense, the people we call the Khoisan. After the Khoisan, the next group that came on the scene around 25,000 BC were what the people we call the Anu. The Anu. You may know them as the Twa, or the Pygmy people. These Twa people, these were the Superman of history. They created, in a sense, the greatest civilizations that ever existed. The first Twa civilizations, or Anu civilizations, were destroyed during the glaciation period around 10,000 BC. Many of their, in a sense, monuments and factories and things like that were destroyed. But we know that when Narmer of Egypt, when he conquered Upper Egypt, Mesopotamia, Levant, he, in a sense, what he did is that he conquered the Egyptian Anu civilization first. Then he went to Mesopotamia and he conquered the Anu civilization there, we know as Sumer. And so, see, the thing is that I consider the Anu the Superman, because they created a great civilization. Okay, then after the Anu people, the melodic people.
I'm sorry, you said you consider who, the Twa, the Superman?
The Twa. Oh yeah, they were Superman. They're the ones who today they were pushed into the center of the earth by Europeans. They're the ones who fly the flying saucers, and they call them the Greys. They're not gray. If you really read the literature, there's some little brown brothers. They wear gray suits. That's all bullish. But again, you have to do the research. That's why research is very important. See, they teach you. See, they can use Europeans due to worldwide white supremacy. They use images for deception. They can deceive you by what you think you see, and they can put in your face images, and you'll believe the stuff. Do you know as many Black people that can't and won't believe that the ancient Egyptians were Black? See?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, let me ask you, what was the religion or religions on the planet during the time of the Twa people? Or was there any religion? What was the Twa following? What was they following?
The Twa and most of the ancient people, they worshipped, in a sense, blackness.
Nature.
Blackness.
Okay.
Because see, the thing is that they worshipped, in a sense, the supreme. They knew the supreme entity was that they knew that once you left this planet, outer space is what? Black, right? The night sky is black. So, so they, in a sense, they didn't really give names to their gods, but they said in a sense the representative of their god was Ra or Amma, and that was the sun. And the reason in a sense is that they made the sun the symbol. Not they didn't worship the sun, but they made the sun the symbol of God and the Creator, because the sun in a sense does what? It's what helps us to stay melanated.
Brings life, gives life.
It gives life. It's
yes.
what makes the plants grow, you see. Yeah. So then that was the earliest religion, you know. After that, people just made up many different names. But see, you got to remember in a sense that the original faith was based on, in a sense, the female, the woman. And the reason it was based on the woman is because the fact, in a sense, is that the woman has a special character in terms of civilization. It was the woman, in a sense, who found the crops, the plants that we ate, because most of us were vegetarians. It was the woman, in a sense, who created civilization. How did she create civilization? She created civilization because it was the woman who wanted to have sex with her man. And the only way she could have sex with her man was she had to invent the calendar. Why would our sister woman have to invent the calendar? I tell you, because the fact is this, is that we were hunters. Because of the fact that we were hunters, we knew that if we had a bow and arrow, we knew if we shot that bow and arrow into that flesh, you die when you bleed. What? You die when you bleed. But the woman, she died once a month. She died once a month. She bled once a month, but she didn't die. So they made her, in a sense, the first symbol. The woman, in a sense, because of the fact that she knew we were afraid of her. Yes, we were afraid of her. We're still afraid of women, but we were afraid of her. So then, therefore, in a sense, she had to invent the calendar. She had to invent the calendars so she would know when we would touch her, because we wasn't going to touch her while she was having a period. Even most brothers today, unless you grew up around Europeans, you're not going to have sex with a woman when she's on her period. It's too nasty, you see. And so then, therefore, she created the calendar. And then because she created the calendar, you know, she became our first symbol of religion, because she died. She bled, but she didn't die. So she was a symbol of resurrection. So then, therefore, the woman was the first symbol of religion because she represented birth and resurrection and death.
Yeah, what caught my attention when you said that we were afraid of her, and we are still afraid of her. What do you mean by that?
We're afraid of her because the fact is this, is that, look, you know, why is it that a smart brother never quits a sister? A smart brother, if he go with a sister, when he in a sense, when he decides that he wants to move on, he doesn't say a word. He just kind of goes to another sister, because of the fact, in a sense, we feel that they can curse us. We feel that they can hold us back. Why do you think that there's many brothers who are baby daddies and they don't have too much luck? And they don't have too much luck sometimes because of the fact they got that baby and they got that baby mama wishing on them, you know, negative influences. And so, yes, we're afraid of the woman. You don't never. I don't know how many women have you quit. I never told a woman I quit. I just moved away.
Right, right. I got you.
I know, fool.
Talk to us about. First of all, I want to ask you the question I asked you earlier. No, we dealt with that.
Well, you can ask it because the family didn't hear it.
Yeah, but were the Neanderthals out of Africa, and if so, where were they? Where were they? Were they phenotypically black?
Okay, the Neanderthals are considered to be Homo sapien.
Right.
Okay, we're considered to be Homo sapien.
Yeah.
And that's because the fact, in a sense, is that we don't have that broad bone structure above the eyes. The Neanderthal people, they had that strong bone structure, and that gave them an archaic look. You know, but the point is this, is that when many other Europeans, when they began to do research in Europe and they began to find the oldest skeletons, they were shocked because they really believed that Europe was a Caucasian continent, which it wasn't. It was a black continent. And so what they did, in a sense, is that they began, in a sense, to label the Neanderthal as a beast. The Neanderthal is dumb because of the fact that they saw the Negro character of the Neanderthal people. See, and so then that's why, in a sense, they made up that lie. But the only difference between a Neanderthal and me or you was they had the bony structure above the eyes, in a sense, was much more archaic. That's one of the reasons why you find that the Australian people, they still have a moderate, very, very moderate brow. And this brow, in a sense, shows the archaic nature and shows how they were the earliest Homo sapiens, or who they consider to be modern man.
Mm-hmm. I think I watched enough of your videos to come to the realization that you yourself call yourself Blackfoot, Native American Indian. And so I want to ask you, talk to us about, what about the Bering Strait theory? Did the Native Americans come here via that pass?
The Bering Strait, if you notice the Bering Strait, it didn't become passable until after around 10,000 BC. But we have sites in South America and even in maybe the southern United States that date back 50,000 years ago. In Brazil, they date back 100,000 years ago. And so then, therefore, because of the fact that we know that you couldn't walk across the Bering Straits into America, let's say then some people might say, well, okay, they may have came from Melanesia. Okay, if they came from Melanesia, then they would have been going along the coast. Now, just think about it. They went along the coast. Once they got to the Bering Strait, do you think they could have broke through that ice with a canoe?
Mm.
And if they would have, in a sense, tried to go down with a canoe, they would have maybe froze to death. So Neida Guedan, she's an archaeologist in Brazil. She says that man has been in the Americas for 100,000 years, and she says that these people came from, in a sense, Africa. You have to understand is that in Africa they had Lake Mega Chad and Lake Mega Congo. These lakes were 300,000 miles wide. 300,000 miles wide. That's why you find so many inscriptions or in the rocks in the Sahara of boats. But do you know how far it is from Brazil and West Africa?
Mm.
A little over 1,200 miles. And if you look at most of the boats that they found in the Sahara, most of these boats, the people had oars, so they were using oars to get from place to place. And just think that there were lakes in Africa, Lake Mega Chad, Lake Mega Congo, 300,000 miles wide, and it's only 1,200 miles between West Africa and Brazil.
Talk to me about your ancestries. Where did you come from? Where was your what was your history back then? Your mother, your father. Are you saying that you are Native American Blackfoot?
What I'm not Blackfoot. What I said is that when I was in high school, my mama and grandma, they said that we had a Choctaw ancestry. They came from Mississippi. So when my mom and them, they told me that. So that was in 1969, when I was a senior in high school, I did a survey, and I found, in a sense, that about 60% of the people in my high school at DuSable said that they had Indian ancestry. You know, Aboriginal Indian ancestry.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when I was growing up, I didn't really want to talk about my Choctaw heritage. I mean, damn, the Indians lost. See, you're a young generation. From the old generation, they had Bonanza, Matt Naxon, the Bonanza. They had all these shows on TV where the Indians were always losing. So I didn't really want to recognize my Indian heritage. Well, I want to recognize being an Indian. I mean, damn, I wanted to be with the African kingdoms, Malay, Songhay, and Ghana. I mean, come on, I want to be with the winners, man. I don't want to be with losers. But right. then after I got older, within the last 10 years, I decided I had to go and do the research, because see, most people, they talk a lot of ish, but they don't do the research. So I began, in a sense, to first I approached it from the genetic basis to show to show the genetics of the Aboriginal Black people. And in a sense, after that, I also went into the after that, I also began to go into the history where I had to look at the explorers. See, the explorers and many of the colonists and adventurers, when they met these various Aboriginal groups, they described them as being copper-colored or black. See, that's the only way that I can show that they were black. And so then that led me to start doing research in that lane. And so now I try to explain to people how we have this Aboriginal heritage. You know, when I was growing up, I used to always say my father's name was Zenova. I said, how the hell does brother get a name Zenova? You know. And so then I tried to find the name Zenova in Africa. I couldn't find the name Zenova in Africa. But once I started to really do research on my Aboriginal origins, I understood in a sense that many other people in Mississippi have a Choctaw heritage. So then it correlated with what my mom had told me, you know. And then when I checked, in a sense, I know that my family, I know my great-great-grandfather, you know, they brought him, the Winters family brought him from North Carolina to Mississippi, and then, you know, then came my progenitors. Then people say, damn, they said, then what about this or that? And so then I always wonder, why do I have the name Clyde? You know, I mean, where did they find that Clyde? You find a lot of people from Mississippi named Clyde and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so then what I began, once I began to really do research in our history, I'm really sad that W.B. Du Bois, Carter G. Woodson, and, you know, they should have did this, but they never talked about our Aboriginal heritage. You know what I'm saying? And so then, therefore, when I began to check into our Aboriginal heritage, I began to see, in a sense, is that the first chattel slaves, not indentured servants, the first chattel slaves in America were the Aboriginal Indians. And what happened is that the Europeans, first the English came and they would kidnap a lot of Aboriginals, and they would take them over to Europe and put them in the brothels. Okay, then after 1619, after they began, in a sense, to colonize the Americas, then they began, whenever they would have a war with the Aboriginals, they would make them as slaves. That's why whenever you look at, if you were right now to do a Google search and you put tobacco plantations, they're going to always show these Indians, you know, because the Aboriginals were the first chattel slaves. Okay, so the first chattel slaves, beginning in the early 1600s, whenever Europeans got here, after they lost the war, they became chattel slaves. Chattel means personal property. Beginning around 1630, between 1630 and 1660, then Oliver Cromwell, who was black himself, but he was a Protestant. Oliver Cromwell, who was a Protestant, he in a sense wanted to get rid of the black Irish who were ruling. You know, many of the people who were rich and had the biggest estates were Catholics. So Oliver Cromwell wanted to get rid of the black Irish. He killed off about 600,000. I think he killed off about 600,000 black Irish in Ireland, and they sent to America and Britain. They sent to America and the Caribbean over 400,000 black Irish plus 100,000 children. That's one of the reasons why in Jamaica a lot of people started saying, "How all these niggas got these Irish names?" And then they said, "Damn, these niggas got these Irish." I'm sorry, these black people have these Irish names, and yet even though they have these Irish names, they couldn't find slave masters. They couldn't find slave masters in Jamaica and other islands that had those names. So they said, how did these people get here? Well, we know today that they got there because they had black Irish ancestors, you see. Okay, so begin between the original slaves in America were the Aboriginal blacks. Then, in a sense, between 1630 and 1660, they sent over 400,000 black Irish to the Caribbean and to the 13 colonies. Okay. Then in 1660, they began to import, you know, after they started having a lot of indigo. They were growing indigo and they were growing tobacco, and they didn't want to free their indentured slaves. So what they did, they started importing African. They started importing, in a sense, sub-Saharan Africans to be chattel slaves. So then you had three populations. You had the black Aboriginals, you had the black Irish, then you had the sub-Saharan Africans. And what happened, in a sense, is that foundational black Americans went through an ethnogenesis. and ethnogenesis. And that's what makes us Superman. The same thing happened in the Caribbean. But see, the Caribbean people, the people of the Caribbean, sadly, they don't know their history. And because they don't know their history, and because of the fact they see themselves as a colony of Britain, and they see themselves as mainly African, then they can't really show their genius. Because see, they went through an ethnogenesis also. But because of the fact that they constantly saw black people ruling them, or they saw Europeans, they can do it. But over in America, because of the fact we went through this ethnogenesis, black Irish, black Aboriginal, Sub-Saharan African, that gave us, in a sense, the memories, the ancestral memories of 3 continents. That's one of the reasons why today FBA people dominate the culture of the world, the music, the food. I mean, look at all the inventions we made. We made the telephone work. Yes. We made, in a sense, electricity. We made the electric train. You see, we made some of the engines. We made the resistor, which is put in every electronic device. We made the cell phone. Yes, black people. We're the ones who made the program that we can even be on the internet. Because see, the internet was developed by the military so they could have a means of communication if there was a nuclear war. It was a brother who made it so that we can get on this. The first compact computers were made by brothers at Western Electric. And also we made the cell phone. See, the entire culture. That's one of the reasons why America haven't produced anything lately. Because the fact, in a sense, is that they've encouraged us to be rappers. They've encouraged us to do other things. And then when we do get up with a good invention, like the brother who invented who made a car that could run off water and stuff, they kill him, things right. that are a threat.
Yes, once again, brothers and sisters, we are speaking with Dr. Clyde Winners, and the Cash App is pinned in the chat. It's at the top. Can y'all throw the Cash App in once again so it can make its way back up to the top? I need all of us, man, 5, 10, 20. And if you can afford it, 50 or 100, it's up to y'all, please show our elder brother some love and how we do over here, because this is what makes them want to come back, unless y'all want me to keep on dealing with the Hebrews or y'all want to deal with this history. Let's get it in. Let's show our elder that this is how we do it. $5, $10, whatever y'all can afford, give the brother something for his time here. This is how they keep their stuff going on. So let me ask you, were the Aboriginal or was the Native American people always here, or did they migrate from someone else? Let's say like Africa.
Well, the people, it was no way to migrate to America because of the Ice Age.
Okay.
Because of the ice, they couldn't migrate from Asia. So Nida Guindon, an archaeologist in Brazil, has said they had to have come from Africa, which is only 1,200 miles away. So they could, and they had boats and they had canoe, and we knew in a sense navigation. So many of these people came at different times. But see, we see everything as the big Negro. It had to be big Negroes, but there were several migrations of black people from Africa to America. And then in the 1700s, 1600s, we began to see, in a sense, Melanesian people began to migrate, began to sail to California. But yes, Aboriginal black people, they've been here at least for the past 100,000 years. Mm-hmm. You see, we know in a sense that the first evidence of these Aboriginals come from California, and they found mastodons. They found mastodons bones that show that people had been eating them around 130,000 years ago. See, mastodon, they were, in a sense, the major diet of many of the early Americans.
Help us to understand, man. Most of the Native American or Aborigines that we talk to today, they disassociate themselves with Africa. They don't want to be no part of Africa. When you say you got African blood, they turn up. They get mad. I ain't got no African blood. Talk to us about that. Why do you think that is?
Well, the reason that they
against Africa,
the reason that they don't want to say, they want to pretend that it wasn't any slaves. See, the first slave trade from America was a slave trade in black Aboriginals. The first slaves on the plantation were black Aboriginals, and in fact, up to the 17 and maybe early 1800s, anytime they needed some slaves, they would, in a sense, they would go attack an Aboriginal village. Then they would take the black Indians, take them over to Jamaica, and then bring them back, and then say, "Oh, we got these niggas from Jamaica," you know. and then the Aboriginals said, "No, we from Maryland." You know the white man. He always doing slick stuff. But see, the whole point is this: is that most of the Aboriginal Indians, like most of us generally, they don't know their history. They don't know their history because we gave up everything to become Christians, and as they gave up everything to become Christians, they lost their tribal histories. You know, for example, you hear some brothers saying, "Well, we ain't African. We ain't African. We call us when we greet each other, we say Niji, brother." They don't even know Niji is a Mandingo word, dumbass.
Oh, look at that.
They still say Niji over in West Africa. These people, they dumb. That's why, in a sense, I spent the last few years writing this book.
Hold on.
The History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals in America. This is the first book to discuss the history of Aboriginal, Black, and Negro people for 100,000 years. This book is almost 500 pages. 500 pages. And if you get the hardcover edition, it's the hardcover edition. Get the hardcover edition, in a sense, you're going to see it has an index. This book can tell you all about the history of the Black Aboriginals. This book should be in everybody's home. Everybody should have this book. They should have this book so their children, their family members, in a sense, would know who they are and where they came from.
Where can they get the book?
Black Aboriginals.
Where can the people get the book at?
They can order the book at Amazon.com.
Okay.
All of my books are on Amazon.com.
How many books you got out so far?
I got 50, but
Ooh. See that, y'all? Putting in that work. That's what I'm talking about.
It's my wife's fault,
Yeah, putting in that work. Okay, let me get to this right quick. In today's today, we find ourselves battling our peers. And I know Unc, the Armin Ross Squad, and brother Asar, Imhotep, and we find ourselves battling them now because they are now saying that ancient Kemet never called themselves black. The question I got for you is, did ancient Kemetic identify as black just as the same as the Nubian people?
Yeah, they called themselves Kemetru, or Kemet, which means, in a sense. But people don't really understand. They don't understand. Just like the Greco-Romans, they called black people the Ethiops. Ethiop means burnt faces. Ethiop also means shining. Why can black people be shining, but also, in a sense, be blackface? The reason is because, in a sense, is that many people, when they look at the word black, they think about, in a sense, burning charcoal. That's the symbol in ancient Egypt. Okay, what does if you have a fire in the middle of the night, what happens? It illuminates things. You see everything. Remember, in a sense, that's why when you look up Old English, if you look up black in Old English, if you look up black in Latin, they call it, in a sense, they call black also represents shining. It also represents bright. It also represents blaze. Why? Because remember, a blaze in darkness shines. A blaze in darkness, in a sense, illuminates. And see, people don't understand that when you're saying B1, you're not just saying black first. When you're saying B1, you're saying brilliant first. But see, these people nowadays, because of the fact they don't do research. See, I do research. I've always done research. And because of the fact that I've been involved in doing research, just like for me to write my books on ancient history, I had to learn Telugu, at least learn how to read it. Telugu, that's a Dravidian language. Tamil, Chinese. I already knew French. I tried to learn to read a little German, Chinese, Mandingo, Mayan. I had to learn how to read all these languages. And I had to learn how to read all these languages so I could get to the sources, get the primary evidence. And see, the thing is this, is that that's what it's all about. And see, people like the Rod Squad and some of those brothers, they're cool. They used to try to ambush me when they would bring me on. But the thing is this, is that, they talk a lot. They talk a lot of ish. But when they talk all this ish, they're just full of mess. For example, they always try to, in a sense, like they try to always say, oh, this brother is pseudo. Let me share some with you. Present. Let me share screen. Okay.
Once again, let's throw that link in there. Let's support our elder. Let's get him coming back over here, man. We need this information. He have a wellspring of knowledge, y'all. I'm telling you. You see the different languages that he speak? We need him back over here. Trust and believe. Let's show some love.
Okay, can anybody see the screen? This is National Library, the National Library of Medicine. Can you see that?
Yes, we see it.
Okay, this is where peer-reviewed articles, man. I'm gonna put in my name. Search PMC. What? Do you mean Dr. Winters has articles that are peer-reviewed, a comparison of
You are watching a master at work.
Parallel mutation. See, I don't have to bullshit with these people. See, I don't have to bullshit with these people. But see, the problem with a lot of brothers is that, because the fact is that they just can't understand. They can't understand how a South Side brother, Chicago brother, could be so damn heavy. White people hate me on the internet. You know why they hate me? They say, why? Those are just a few of my articles. I got about what? I got over 200-300 articles published. You can go to, what do you call it? You can go to Academia EDU and you'll find some of my articles. Then I got some other articles on ResearchGate. I put some of my sociology articles on ResearchGate. I got my ancient history, linguistics, genetics, all that type of stuff on Academia EDU. I don't have to play. I'm out here in a sense. I'm out here in a sense to teach us the truth. I bring receipts when I talk. I try to bring receipts because I know that we're a people that's been led astray. We're people in a sense that's been taught a lot of ish, and much of this ish in a sense is the result of people not doing research. Much of the research that we know about Egypt, a lot of that is false. A lot of the research we know about Egypt is false, because the fact is this, is that we're going off what the Europeans said. Look, how the hell, when you read Breasted stuff, Breasted translates stuff, and then whenever it deals with the Nehesi and the Nehisi, or deal with the people in Kush, you say Negro land. They don't have no word Negro land. Get out of here.
Right. That's right.
See, and yet that's what it is. So we got these brothers today. I'm a Rod Squad, Ansar. They're trying to play up this stuff that the Egyptians didn't call themselves black. The great master, Anti-Geop, he already proved in a sense that the Egyptians called themselves black. Yet you got these revisionists trying in a sense to say that they didn't call themselves black. And then they're saying themselves, because just because you feel inferior. See, many people feel inferior growing up in America. I'm so proud to be a former slave. What the hell wrong with you, nigga? What? I'll tell you why I'm proud. I'm proud because we're the only slaves in the history of the world that now today are living better than some of our masters. We're the only slaves in the history of the world where you see millionaires. See, we're the only slaves in the history of the world. You see, that we're doing well. You see, we're doing well, and because of the fact, in the sense that we're doing well, why should I be ashamed of my blackness? Why should I be ashamed in the sense of my ancestry? Why should I be ashamed of being a former slave? You see, I'm proud of that. Because, see, we're the only slaves in the history of the world that fight white supremacy. We're the only people that stand up to white supremacy. The Africans ain't doing it. It's over here in America. You see, back when I was back in the 80s and 90s, when I was teaching. I taught in public schools for 46 years. I taught at governor of state for 10.5 years. I taught at St. Xavier University in Chicago for 3 years. And so then, back in the day when we were fighting to get to free South Africa. You know, we made sure to make, we made the when I was a teacher in Chicago, we made in a sense our what do you call it? We made our pension fund withdraw money, you know, withdraw money in a sense from companies that supported South Africa. We liberated South Africa. See, that's what FBAs do. What we do is that we fight for everybody except ourselves. But sadly, so sad, Sonetta, so sad is that we can get along with anybody except other Black folk. We can respect anybody except other Black folk. We tear each other down. We argue over some of the silliest mess instead of building each other up. And then why do we do this? The white man took over Africa. How did the white man take over Africa? You had Africans selling each other as slaves. How did the white man take over in America? You had Black Aboriginal Indians selling each other as slaves. See, they don't want to talk about that. You had a lot of people, Dane Calloway. Oh, we was indigenous service. You're full of ish. Nigga, what? Do your research. Do your research. See, we're supermen. Just like I feel so sorry for people in the Caribbean. See, Caribbeans went through an ethnogenesis also. Caribbeans, in a sense, are the products of Aboriginal Black people who were some of the earliest slaves in Jamaica. They're the product of the Carib, Black Indians. They're the product of Black Irishmen. And they're the products, in a sense, of Africans. They went through an ethnogenesis, but many other brothers and sisters from the Caribbean, they don't really respect their history. They don't want to write their history. They keep seeing themselves as a colony instead of recognize that you are a super race. Yes, if you come from Jamaica, you come from St. Kitts, if you come from, in a sense, Trinidad, you are a Superman. The only reason you don't know you're a Superman is that you've been cowed down. You've been cowed down to believe, in a sense, that you've always been colonized and that your enemy is the Black man, you see. Mm-hmm. But the beauty of growing up in America is that we learn right away it's black and white, baby. Black and white, baby. Got to choose a side.
Right, facts. All right, I'm done. Let's get with your presentation. You can put your PowerPoint back up, sit back and relax. Family, remember, once again, I got to keep saying it because it's hard to get our people to support one another. Let's support our brother. Let's support our elder. You already seen you seen what he put up, the information. He studies so many languages, so we know that he's a professional. He's going to give you that real stuff right now. So, my brother, I'm going to pass you the mic and let you flow from here.
Can you guys see the screen okay?
Yes.
Egypt was a Pan-African nation. Yes, yes. When we think of Egypt, we always think of Egypt as a monolith. We see Egypt as a great African nation, but we see Egypt as being, in a sense, one group of people. No. The genius of Egypt was that Egypt was a Pan-African nation, you know. This thing is wow. It's not showing up.
It's stuck. It's stuck right there. There you go.
It does. I'm gonna have to I don't know why StreamYard doesn't want to allow me to do my slides. Even though I pay StreamYard money. They don't want to allow me to do my slides. So a lot of times I have to do them through Adobe. So I'm going to make these into Adobe and then I'll continue.
Okay. While he's doing that, y'all, let's show some love and show some support. Once again, I will open up the mic. If y'all have any questions, make sure you write them down. Write your questions down. I don't need you to come in to teach, because a lot of times when I open up the floor for questions, y'all want to come in and teach the teacher. No, you're going to ask the question. That's what you're going to do. You're going to come in and ask a question, and there you go. You can keep it moving. So,
okay,
yes, we see
Egypt was a Pan-African civilization, and what it was is that can you guys? I hope it's showing up eventually.
It's still on the first slide. It's on the first screen.
Okay, let me see. I had to go.
Research
is. I had to go out. Boom. Put it boom. I'll stop sharing.
Shout out to my teacher, Khalid Omani. I'm waiting on my brother to put something together so he could come in and give y'all something powerful. Khalid Omani, you got the call, brother. You got to come in and bring some scholarship.
Okay, can everybody see it now?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, Egypt was a Pan-African nation again. You know, Egypt, in a sense, was a combination of many African people. Most people they think of Egypt, they think of Meta Nature as a you know, as just a monolithic language, but Meta Nature was more. It was really, in a sense, a lingua franca. Okay, you can go to my Patreon to see the slides. This presentation, the slides will be found in my Patreon. So join my Patreon. It's my Patreon that allows me, in a sense, to be able to do the research. Every Thursday, and even this presentation, I bring up the latest evidence. And the reason I'm able to get the latest evidence is that my Patreon, they provide me with the funds to buy books and to get behind paywalls, many articles and you know, from research journals and newspapers. They're behind paywalls. So a lot of times you have to spend money to get here. You can go to my YouTube channel. On my YouTube channel, I have over 400 videos that deal with every aspect of Black history. Go and check it out. You can order my books at Amazon.com. You know, let the researcher do the research. Yes, let the researcher do the research. But you can be a researcher too. You can be a researcher by buying my book, Pathfinder, Clyde Winters in Search of the Roots of Afrocentrism, a memoir. In this book, Pathfinder, what I do is I talk about how I became a researcher. I talk about how, with the support of my wife and my family and Black people, I was able, in a sense, to do this research, this marvelous research that led to me writing over 50 books, you know, and I've written over 300 articles, and I've done hundreds of presentations, state, national, and international at conferences. If you're interested in being a researcher, get my book, Afrocentric Researcher, a guide to the study of social science research methods. In this book, Afrocentric Researcher, I provide, in a sense, people information on how to be a researcher. I taught research at Governor State University for 10 and a half years. And in this book, in a sense, I show you how to research all aspects of Black history, both doing quantitative research and qualitative research. Quantitative research is when you use numbers. I teach you how to do chi-squares, t-tests, other things so you can make a quantitative research article. And I also teach you how to do qualitative research articles. And qualitative research articles are articles that deal mainly with the literature of a subject. If you want to find out more about Egyptian history, get my books, The Kushites, Who, What, When, Where. You can get my book, The Nile Valley History and the Rig Veda. In my book, The Nile Valley History and the Rig Veda, what I do there is that I show you that the people who we call the Dravidian people in India today, I show how when you read the ancient Indian literature, the Puranas, the Rig Veda, the Mahabharata, you know, the Ramayana, that they're not really talking about India. I show the evidence that they're really talking about the Nile Valley. And if you're interested in Kushite history, period, get my book, Using Common Core Standards to Teach History. What is FBA? FBA is not a group. FBA is not an organization. FBA is a lineage. A lineage is lineal descent from an ancestor, ancestry or pedigree. As a result, we are descendants of the African and Aboriginal Blacks who built the United States. We're not just Africans. B1 is acknowledging your Black African ancestry and mod, not heritage. We must be race men and women proud of our culture and African Black ancestry. Black equal brilliant. Yes. Yes. Black equals brilliant. B1 equal Black first. B1 equal brilliant first. Yes, we are Black and we are brilliant, you see. And see, that's why the majority of people, they're not like us. No, they're not like us. They're not like us because they don't love themselves. They don't love their people. They don't love who they are. But we do love our people. We do love who we are. That's why they're not like us. They're not like us. They're not like us. We're always proud to be members of the brilliant Black race. Egypt was a Pan-African nation. Many researchers recognize that many African civilizations share common cultural features and words with ancient Egypt. This poses a question. Why do Egyptians and Black Africans share a similar civilization? Here we can see Memnon back in the day, when he was studying the maps of Egypt before he began to decide to conquer the world. You know, we find all of these things that unify African people. We find that many of the artifacts that we find in ancient Egypt are artifacts in the sense that we find in Africa today, the wigs, you know, the hairstyles, the braiding, these things in a sense that we just take for granted. And we look at Black and African and foundational Black American children and adults, and we see the things that they are demonstrating in terms of their culture. And we say, wow, that's really cool. But we fail to sometimes recognize. Yes, we fail to sometimes recognize that those elements that we show in our culture today are elements that we got from our ancient Egyptian heritage. Because see, a lot of people say that this nigga talking crazy. What this nigga talking about? What he talking about? Egypt and foundational Black Americans or Egypt and people in the Caribbean. What is he talking about? I'm gonna tell you. Many Bantu-speaking groups claim to have come from Kemet, but according to most European scholars, the Bantu people migrated from Cameroon. The problem with that theory is that it does not explain how the Bantu people ended up in Cameroon, while humanity originated in East Africa. Many scholars, like Sheikh Anta Diop and Theophile Obinga, proved that the Bantu languages were related to the Kemetic languages. They proved that scholars created the Afro-Asiatic language group to separate Kemet from the African people and connect it to Asia. Look at this. Look at this map. Look at this map on the left-hand side. This is what we see that as Europeans, as white people began to take over ancient Egypt, we began to see the people migrate out of Egypt. And they migrated down into the rest of Africa. They migrated over into West Africa. You know, they didn't go into the Sahara because much of the Sahara was a desert. But they still, in a sense, left Egypt and began to migrate and fill up, in a sense, the continent. But the Europeans, on the other hand, look at the map on the right-hand side. They want to say that Black people just originated in Cameroon and Chad, and then we migrated into the other parts of Africa. No. The truth is that our ancestors lived in ancient Egypt. You know, here's some other examples, you know, like the Donga stick fight in ancient Egypt. Look at that. Look how they're fighting with sticks. And we see the same thing today. We see the same headgear, the same handgear, you see? And what we see is that we see that this Donga stick fighting in ancient Egypt has been carried over to today. Today. Stop thinking that everything we do is new. Everything we do has no roots. But when you look at these pictures, they show you how much of what we do today came from Egypt. Here we see traditional African leopard skins. Yes. Look at this. Look at it. We see a South African in the middle, an Aguni. We see the Ndu from Nigeria. And we see a person from Kemet. They're all, in a sense, of wearing the leopard skin. Why? Because we have continuity. Yes, we share continuity with our Egyptian ancestors. Don't let Europeans tell you that everything under the sun is new. Don't let Europeans tell you that your culture, in a sense, has nothing to do with ancient Egypt. They're lying to you. They're lying, you see. Let's look at the royal mother. Let's look at the royal mother. Look at the royal mother. We see, in a sense, look when we move from left to right. We see a modern African. Then we see an Egyptian queen, Nefertiti. See? Then we go over to the royal mothers where we see the Egyptian royal mother with Horus. And then we see today the Yoruba royal mothers. Yes. Stay grounded. Understand where we came from. Understand, in a sense, that we're carrying on traditions that aren't new. This shows that ancient Egypt was probably made up of varied African populations. This question has been answered. Ancient Egypt was made up of many different African ethnic groups. Due to various languages spoken by the Egyptians, they needed a single language to unite the inhabitants of the Egyptian nation or confederation, who spoke diverse languages. The lingua franca they invented was the ancient Egyptian language we call Meta-Netta. Because of the multi-ethnic Egyptian population living in the various nomes of Egypt, a nome or sepat, this is what the ancient Egyptians called the 42, 46 nations that made up ancient Egypt. Egypt was a Pan-African civilization, which was multinational and included many African nationalities. The origin of ancient Egyptian as a lingua franca was used to unite the multinational Egyptians within a single means of communication. These findings mean that we have to see the shared linguistic and cultural features of Black Africans are the result of many of these African nationals living in a Pan-African Egypt. Yes, yes. Look at it from this. Egypt was a Pan-African civilization. There seems to have been a migration from the Nile Valley. You can see this map. You can see that this Chaldean woman. You can see, in a sense, the braiding. These are all, in a sense, examinations or all of this evidence that it goes back to the Nile Valley. And we see, in a sense, that much of the civilization that was carried on in Egypt was carried on in other parts of Africa. You see, look at this. In fact, when you look at when we look at Meta-Netta, what we see, in a sense, is we see certain tribal or ethnic names in the language. Yes. For example, Tutsi. Tutsi means, in a sense, we have the Tutsi tribe down in South Africa. Tutsi means what? The assembled gods, or all of them gods. We see, in a sense, the tribal name Akan. The Akan people, they live in Ghana. Akan was the name of a god. Akanu was a class of gods like Osiris. Then we see Fante. Fante is another ethnic group that lives in Ghana. The Fante in Meta-Netta means he of the nose, a name of Thoth, one of the 42 judges in the Hall of Osiris, Shante in modern Egyptian. Yes, yes, yes. We see these ethnic names in Meta-Netta. Another name in Meta-Netta is the word Hausa, but it comes off as Hosa, a singing god. We see, in a sense, a relationship with the Yoruba. We have Uraba Iu, great God, great souls, a title of gods or kings, or Uruba, the great god of soul. Do you understand? Do you understand? That's why people have been able, in a sense, to look at these West African ethnic groups, and they say, damn, wow, many of these West African ethnic groups have names, have words in their language that go back to ancient Egypt. And the reason it goes back to ancient Egypt is because of the fact, in a sense, is that many of their ancestors came from ancient Egypt. Here's some other names for Silas, similar to the Sage tribe in West Africa. Aphroditopolis, similar to the Afar tribe in East Africa. Butu, similar to the Bantu ethnic group. Tanis, similar to the Tano tribe in Ghana. Shosis, similar to the Hausa tribe in South Africa. Again, these, in a sense, are kind of Latin, Greco-Roman, interpretations of these names, but we can still see that even the Greco-Roman interpretation of these Egyptian names, they show that, or they relate to many African ethnic groups. You see, we see Egyptian nomads in both Upper and Lower Egypt with their ancient Egyptian names that resemble the names of African tribes. For example, Waset, the name of which was the name of Thebes, that's similar to the Wassa tribe in Ghana. If you notice, I've already talked about the Akan, the Fante. It seems as though that Ghana was a very popular part of West Africa where ancient Egyptians settled after Egypt was overrun by the Greeks, Romans, Persians, etc. Jejuhuta Hadi, or Hermopolis, is similar to the Dehihu tribe. Taseti, the first nome of Upper Egypt, is similar to the Seti tribe. These are tribes that exist in Africa today. Perbastet, Bubastis, this is similar to the Bassa tribe in Cameroon. Saut or Asiut is similar to the Sauta tribe. Anib Hatch, Memphis, is similar to the Anab tribe in Ethiopia. Kaminu, or Hermopolis, is similar to the Kim tribe. And the Waset, which is the name of Thebes, is similar to the Wassa tribe in Ghana. So as you can see, when you look at many of these Egyptian names, even in the Egyptian language, you can see that these words, these names of tribes, are also names of tribes that we find in Africa today. See, again, this points to what? This points to that migration of many ancient Egyptians from Egypt into West Africa. Here's some of the various gods, and some of the names of gods relate to some African tribes, like the Anubis or Ampu. That's similar to the Anu tribe in the Sudan and South Sudan. The Bestet or Bas is similar to the Bassa tribe in Cameroon. Horus or Hiru is similar to the Hiru people. Kanum is similar to the Kumani tribe in South Africa. Sebek is similar to the Cebu tribe. Ra or Re is similar to the Ra people in the Sudan. Sekhmet is similar to the Sekhmet tribe. So again, do you see this analogy? Do you see this correspondence? Do you see this continuity between the names of Egyptian gods and many of the various Egyptian many of the African ethnic groups that are in Africa today? All of this hark back to the fact that Egypt was a Pan-African civilization, that many of these people who originally lived in Egypt have now moved to other parts of Africa. Linguistics is the best evidence of an ancient relationship between the Egyptians and Black Africans. Ancient Egyptian was a lingua franca. Yes. It was a lingua franca. This question has been answered. Ancient Egypt was made up of many different African ethnic groups. The various languages spoken by the Egyptians made it necessary to have a single language to unite the inhabitants of the Egyptian nation or confederation who spoke diverse languages. A lingua franca is a language that is adopted as a common language between speakers whose native languages are different. The lingua franca they invented was Meta Nature, or the ancient Egyptian language. Linguistic research taxonomy. This linguistic research has been based on linguistic classification or taxonomy. Linguistic taxonomy is the foundation upon which comparative and historical linguistic methods are based. Linguistic taxonomy is necessary for the identification of language families. The determination of language families give us the material to reconstruct the proto-language of a people and discover the regular sound correspondence. When you're studying comparative linguistics, what you look for is regular sound correspondence within the words. You don't really look at the vowels because the vowels could have been anything. As you know, even the ancient Kemetic, Meta Nature, we don't know what the vowels were. They usually just add an E to most words. But we do know what the consonants were. KMT, gamut, And so then when you're doing, in a sense, comparative linguistics, what you're looking at is that you're looking at the placement of the consonants within a word. And by looking at where the consonants are, you compare those consonants in one word to consonants in another word. And then this allows you to be able to possibly show a comparative linguistic relationship. There are three major kinds of language classifications: genealogical, typological, and areal. A genealogical classification groups languages together into language families based on the shared features retained by languages, since divergence from the common ancestor or proto-language. An areal classification groups languages into linguistic areas based on shared features acquired by a process of convergence arising from spatial proximity. A typological classification groups languages together into language types by the similarity in the appearance of the structure of languages without consideration of their historical origin and present or past geographical location. The comparative method is useful in the reconstruction of proto-languages, or DIOPS Paleo-African. To reconstruct a proto-language, a linguist must look for patterns of correspondence. Patterns of correspondence is the examination of terms which show uniformity. This uniformity leads to the inference that languages are related, since uniformity of terms leads to the inference that languages are in a sense, come from a common ancestor. Linguistic resemblances denote a historical relationship. This suggests that resemblances and fundamental vocabulary, you know, like mother, father, house, wood, cook, things like that in culture terms, can help one reconstruct the culture of speakers of genetically related languages. This is what allows us to do this is this whole idea of linguistic constancy. If you've taken a course in linguistics, they always teach you that languages change quickly. And the reason they always teach you that languages change quickly is because of the fact they go off the history of European countries. We know that when one European country conquered another European country, they usually made the people in that country speak the language of the people who took over the country. So you see a lot of linguistic change in Europe. But see, the rate at which languages change is variable. It appears that linguistic change is culture specific. I repeat, linguistic change is culture specific. Consequently, the social organization and political culture of a particular speech community can influence the speed at which languages change. Based on the history of language change in Europe, most linguists believe that the rate of change is very rapid, but this is not valid for other languages. First, Anti-Giop, this is what he wrote, and I quote, "First, the evolution of languages, instead of moving everywhere at the same rate of speed, seems linked to other factors, such as the stability of social organizations, or the opposite, social upheavals. Understandably, in relatively stable societies, man language has changed less with the passage of time." This is very important you keep this in mind. Keep that in mind. Diop has contributed much to African linguistics. He was a major proponent of the Dravidian-African relationship and the African substratum in Indo-European languages in relationship to cognominal sounds and terms for social organization and culture. Diop's major linguistic effort has been the classification of Black, African, and Egyptian languages. Up until 1977, Diop's major area of interest were morphological and phonological similarities between Egyptians and Black African languages. He did a lot of research where he showed that many words in the Wolof language, which is spoken in Senegal, are the same as many words spoken in ancient Egyptian. Une parenthèse génétique de l'Égyptien pharaonique et des langues négro-africaines. Diop explains in some detail his linguistic views in the introduction of his book. In PGEPLNA, Diop demonstrates the genetic relationship between ancient Egyptian and the languages of Black Africa. Diop provides thousands, I repeat, if you get this book, Parenthèse génétique des Égyptiens pharaoniques, he provides thousands of cognate, Wolof, and Egyptian terms in support of his African-Egyptian linguistic relationship. Cognate means that you're going to find thousands of words in this book, thousands of Wolof words and Egyptian words, in a sense, that show a relationship. Diop advocates the unity of Black Africans and Blacks in West Asia. I've also done a lot of research on the linguistic evidence. But see, Egypt was a Pan-African civilization. For example, let's look at some of the words. Here we can see some words in Egyptian and Wolof. For example, let's look at the word back, irif, yatu, yatwa. Ikin, cup, it goes along with can. It, father, it goes with yet. So again, in a sense, you can see these linguistic relationships. I know some people out in some people in the chat, they have their own opinion, but it's nothing wrong with being ignorant. See, there's nothing wrong with being ignorant because many people are ignorant, but you're a damn fool when you're dumb. Gilbert Ngum has done a fine examination of the correspondence between the Bantu, Douala, and the ancient Egyptian language. Ngum elaborates on the Black African Egyptian phonology. He also makes it clear that Egyptian is closer, yes, closer to our Black African languages than Berber or Semitic, because they try to teach you that they're more related to Semitic. This is wrong. In Samba, Alan Anselin illustrates how the corpus of Egyptian hieroglyphics explain not only the Egyptian civilization, but also the entire world of the Paleo-Africans. Anselin makes it clear that Black African and Kemetic civilization at its origination was unified from its foundation in the Sahara up to its contemporary manifestation. This, in a sense, are some of the Black African, Black ancient Egyptian connections. We have Proto-Egyptian, Proto-Cushitic, Proto-Chadic, Proto-Niger-Congo, and the Nilo-Saharan languages. Egyptian was a multilingual civilization. As a result, they needed a lingua franca to provide a common means of communication for the Egyptian people. I already showed you how they had Akan, they had Fante, they had Hausa, Bantu, they had all different types of people that was living in the different states. Because remember, out of the 42, 46 states of Egypt, each one of those states had a different god. And the people in each one of those states spoke a different language. And that's why they had to make Meta as in a sense, a lingua franca. This lingua franca was Egyptian because it is a lingua franca. It includes common vocabulary items from many Black African languages as a result of the Pan-African character of ancient Egypt. You know, for example, here we can see some words: Dravidian, Elamite, Sumerian, Manding, Nubian, Egyptian. For example, the chief was called, Ka, Elamite Salah, and Sumerian Sar, Manding Sar, Egyptian Sur. The village was called, in Dravidian languages, Uru. In Sumerian, it was called Ur. In Manding, it was called Furu. In Egyptian, it was called Mer. So again, you can see this relationship, And much of this research was done by Anta Diop in his books Nation Nigre et Culture and Antériorité des Civilisations Nigres and L'Afrique Noire Précoloniale. These linguists believe that Egyptian is a Black African language. Yes. Many people, they try to teach you in the sense that Egyptian is an Afro-Asiatic language. This is wrong. These linguists recognize that the Egyptians ruled Palestine for thousands of years. As a result, they claim many Egyptian loanwords in Hebrew and Arabic, maybe the result of Egyptian loanwords borrowed by the Canaanites, Hebrews, and etc. during this period of Egyptian colonialism. In many books on Afro-Asian languages, the proto-terms for this language are primarily Semito-centric. This feature of the Afro-Asiatic languages have encouraged people to assume the alleged Afro-Asiatic languages originated in Arabia instead of in Africa, but this is false, So, so again, in a sense, you can see some of these words, that relate to the various Hebrew and Afro-Asiatic. Okay, again, Egypt was a Pan-African civilization. And we can also see this, in addition to the language connections, you can look at those slides, if you go to my Patreon. We also see there was a relationship between the dog. Dr. R. Wilmer believes that the region was occupied when the Mandi migrated westward. In support of this theory, Wilmer notes that the Liberian Basenji dogs show no crossbreeding with dogs kept by other African groups in West Africa, and point to the early introduction of this canine population after the separation of the Mandi from the other Niger-Congo speakers. Yes, the Basenji dog, this dog in a sense, I think it's a barkless dog. They found some even in Mexico that they think the Olmecs brought. But you can see this relationship. Again, we see not only a linguistic connection. I've already shown you cultural elements, but we also see that even the dogs show a relationship. You see, and because the Basenji dog is a marker of the relationship between ancient Egypt and much of West Africa, and also in a sense is that many FBA are really Egyptians. You see. Ain't nothing seen under the sun. Look at those pictures on the left-hand side. You can see there's Obama, and they found an Egyptian statue that appears to look like Obama. And then we can see an Egyptian statue that appears to look like his wife. See, Michelle. So again, in a sense, what we find is that, as foundational Black Americans, we are the Egyptians, you see. We are the Egyptians. Look at these Egyptian artifacts and contemporary Black people. Anta Diop wrote, the history of Black Africa will be written in air until African historians dare to connect it with the history of Egypt. This is what Sheikh Anta Diop said in African Civilization. Let the researcher do the research. If you want to be a researcher, get my book, Pathfinder, Clyde Winters in Search of the Roots of Afrocentrism. It can help you, in a sense, learn how to be a researcher. I also have a book, Afrocentric Researcher. I have a research class that I give maybe 2 or 3 times a year. If you buy this book, Afrocentric Researcher, it can help you to know how to do research. Very important to understand that we're B1. Yes, B1. B1. B1 is black first. B1 is brilliant first. We are black and we are brilliant.
All right, man.
Are there any other questions out there?
Yeah, powerful information. I love it, man. Oh, man, when you first showed the last slide, the lookalike with Michael Jackson, Barack Obama, and his wife, that was awesome. Excellent as well. Family, I'm going to drop the link. If we have any questions, remember, I think it should be a lot of questions out there right now. Y'all can come in, ask a question. Also, remember, his Cash App is at the top, is pinned at the top. Can y'all throw the Cash App in once again so that they know it's there? Let's support our brother, because I want him to come back. I mean, he got so much wealth of information. I want him to come back and do a presentation on the Aborigines, the natives, all of that. So let's show our elders some love here. Oh, hold on. Anybody want to come in and ask Clyde the question? Come on in. Yeah, right now. You can come in, ask him a question, brother. Okay. I got you. Yes, family. So hit that link. The link is in the chat. Don't be afraid. Come on in. If you don't want to come in, the link for his Cash App, it go directly to him. Thank you, Bond Dog. Appreciate it, brother. But let's get our people up in here. Don't waste no more time. Come on, Black Lion Supreme. It's time for you to start hitting the panel, brother. You got that information, brother. You can keep talking, Dr. Clyde, until the people come in.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Again, like I said, is that we forget sometimes. When I try to tell people that we're Egyptian, you're Egyptian, and that if you live in the Caribbean and your ancestors come from West Africa, you have an Egyptian background, and you have an Egyptian background because many of the languages spoken by our ancestors, Yakan, Fulani, Mandi, Wolof, in the United States, many of the early slaves, in fact, most of the slaves in the United States came from the Senegambia region. The only Bantu slaves that you'll find in America. That's why a lot of times when FBA get their DNA tests and they talk about them come from Central Africa, that's all bullish, because not that many Black people came to North America from Central Africa, or even were Bantu. Most of the people, in a sense, who had that type of Central African and Bantu origin, they mainly lived down in Louisiana, in the French areas, because the American slave traders, what they did is that they tried to avoid the regular slave trading posts so they could get cheap slaves. In fact, many people don't know that the first African word to enter into the American language was khaki. Khaki. Khaki clothes. People don't know that that's a Swahili word.
Drizzle, I can't see you, brother. Drizzle OG. There you go, bro. There you go. And we got Apostles of Quan. Before I ask you, Drizzle, let me ask the elder, do you have any evidence, Dr. Clyde, of the Israelites, of the Hebrew Israelites being enslaved in Egypt, in ancient Kemet?
The thing is this, is that they don't talk about that, but I'm quite sure, the Bible says they were, but you have to look at it from this perspective. Now I want you, family, and you too, Sonetta, open up your mind. Now, close your mind. Take out what the white man had taught you. In a sense that it was about what, 10 or 20 Hebrews that came into, in a sense, into Egypt. Okay. Remember, the father of the Hebrew people was called what? Abram. But then when he came in Egypt, when he came into the Delta region, he changed his name from Abram to Abraham. See, so what people have to understand is that the vast majority of those Hebrews that migrated out of Egypt, they would have been Egyptians. That's how they became so strong, because they began, in a sense, to they had to have been Egyptians, and they just began to believe in the one God. See, Egyptians, there was always the one God, but the one God was the God in the background. He was called Amma or Amun. See, but then when Moses was preaching, then many of the Egyptians. So when people keep talking about the Hebrew nation had to have been nothing but mainly Egyptians. Come on now.
You are watching a master.
Also look at this. They teach you in the church that the Egyptians and the Hebrews was always fighting each other, right?
Right.
But who was always saving Israel from the Asians? It was Egypt.
Okay, right.
Remember the 25th dynasty?
Yes.
Then when the invasion of the people of the sea, when the people of the sea was invaded, it was the Egyptians who came to help the Hebrews fight. A lot of that, I don't know if that's true or not. I really don't know if a lot of that stuff is true or not. That's in relationship to the Egyptians hating the Hebrews and Hebrews hating the Egyptians, because family, even anybody who studied the history knows, in a sense, that it was always the Egyptians coming to the aid, even the 25th dynasty, to the Hebrew people.
You know what?
I don't see all that fighting. I don't know.
Now you're starting to open up my mind again. This makes a lot of sense, because when you look at it, I've been saying this a long time ago, that the Hebrews and the Egyptians and the Moors, really, they are all the same people with different labels. You know what I'm saying? And so that's powerful right there, because when you look at it, who do you think distorted the history? The Europeans, the white man, the same ones who wrote the Bible. So they're going to write it in a way where they make you enemies of each other. They got to make it look like we are enemies. And that's why that's how they separate us. You separate blacks from other blacks and make them hate each other. God damn.
You are watching a master.
One of the major books they wrote a few years ago, talked about how the 25th dynasty was coming to the aid of the Hebrew nations and stuff like that, and so then it's all very complicated. But again, the European, he teaches us lies. He teaches us a lot of lies.
Go ahead. Okay, so we got Dizzle in the building. OG, what is that, brother?
What's happening, Brother Sanetta? Good evening to you.
Good evening, brother.
And I also want to say greetings to Dr. Winters also. How you doing, sir?
Peace,
sir. How you doing? All right. The question that I have is basically a clarification of something that you spoke on a little bit earlier. And basically, I want to get clarification. Are you saying that the Black Aboriginals that were here, they evolved here on this landmass, or did they migrate here from Africa, as academia currently tells us?
Okay, they didn't migrate here from Asia. They didn't migrate from Asia because we know they had, in a sense, the Ice Age. See, we don't have any skeletons of pre-hominids in the Americas, mainly because of the fact that the Ice Age lasted 125,000 years. You see, but what we do is we begin to see these skeletons. We begin to see these civilizations that began around 50,000 years ago, down in the southern part of the United States. A lot of them were Solutrean sites, and in a sense, we find in a sense that the Solutreans, their style of tool making and art came from South Africa. They took this tool making from South Africa into Europe, and then they brought it to Americas. You see, what happened in a sense is that America according to Neida, according to Neida Guedan, she's a archaeologist in Brazil. She says that African people have been in the Americas for 100,000 years, and they came from Africa. The reason she says they came from Africa is that they couldn't have came from Asia because of the Ice Age, 125,000 years, and the Ice Age the ice doesn't begin to melt until 10,000 BC, 10,000 years BC. And in a sense, but we already find these older things. An interesting fact is that Anzac boy is one of the earliest skeletons of a hominid in North America. Anzac boy, listen to this. Anzac boy, he carried the Y chromosome haplogroup R1. Do you know that 25%, I repeat, 25% of foundational Black Americans today carry R1 haplogroup? Interesting, isn't it? That's almost saying that some of the people that have, some of you guys have had, some of you guys, your ancestors go back 10,000 years.
Okay, so just to be clear for the people that are listening, all right, these people that you're referring to as Black Aboriginals, you do acknowledge, or your research has found that they also came here from Africa, just not through the Bering Strait route.
Yes, they are.
You're just saying. Okay, all right.
As late as the because see, it was a lot of different migrations. The last settlement of Africans in the Americas came over in 1310 with Abubakari. Mansa Abubakari was the first king of Mali before Mansa Musa. All of you know that Mansa Musa, he was the richest man in the history of the world. He had all that gold. Well, the king before him was King Mansa Abubakari, and he came to the Americas with about 20,000 people. And they settled throughout the Americas. And in fact, we find that one of the major tribes in Virginia, when the white man got here, was the Mandican. And the Mandican, in a sense, that's the same name of African people in West Africa. In fact, the greeting today among many Aboriginals, they think is Ojibwa, and it's Niji, and they think they talk in Indian when Niji is a Mandingo word. I don't know, but you got to do the research, baby. You got to get my book.
Okay.
I don't hear you. You must be mute.
Yeah. I'm going to come back over to you, OG, if you're still here. Let me move on over to Apostle. Remember, Apostle, we're not here to debate. And I will also give you the same respect tomorrow in your presentation, Apostle. I will let you flow. It's not a debate with me and you. I will let you flow. You got the floor. Ask the doctor a question.
Yeah, I wanted to know, put that on the big screen, Si.
Okay.
I want to ask him if he recognizes. Can he see it? And does he recognize?
Yeah, move it up. Bring it up higher because the light is blocking. Okay. Now put it closer. See if you could come closer. Okay, there you go.
That's a disto. Yeah. I see him.
Yeah. I haven't been able to bring this out until today that I am a tribal member, a chief for a fact.
What tribe?
Of the Kuso Muskego.
Okay.
Tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this is a diplomatic ID. Also, here is my TAO, Tribal Authority Officer, that allows me to be armed as a tribal officer. So you had mentioned earlier, and I just did that for Sonetta because a couple of weeks ago I showed through DNA that my great-grandmother was Cherokee. Mm-hmm. And I had to go through this process in order to get all of this stuff taken care of and get it done.
You do know though that you do know that in Oklahoma they don't accept DNA as a way to prove your ethnicity.
Right.
Because of the fact that just about all the mostly all of the so-called Native American. I like to say Native Americans for the red man, Aboriginal for the black people.
Right.
And so then, when they do the DNA, they always find out that many of the Native Americans, they carry a lot of black DNA. And so that's why they don't want, that's why you can't prove in Oklahoma your Aboriginal origin based on DNA. It's all type of crap, but I'm proud. I'm very proud of you, Apostle, that you were able, in a sense, to do the research and bring, just like, this is it, Apostle. Family, let me explain to you. If you remember, the Spanish, when they came over to the Americas, they always had with them a Moor who could speak Hebrew and Arabic. Do you know why? Because see, many of the Aboriginal people were trading. They had been trading with the Moors and Sephardic Jews for thousands of years.
Right.
So that's why, in a sense, these Moors could be interpreters, because when they went to many of the Aboriginal villages, it was usually somebody there who could speak Arabic or Hebrew. That's a good find, Apostle. Great.
Yeah. Earlier, one of the gang tribes tried to show a picture of a Sephardic Jew, which was a drawing of a white man. What he doesn't realize is that I come from Sephardic Jews.
Yeah.
So they didn't look like that. But you mentioned, when you was talking about the languages you learned, I heard you mention one, and I just want to check. Tagalog. Was that the Negro language of the Philippines? The Tagalog?
I said Telugu. That's a Dravidian language spoken in India.
I just wanted to make sure, because
but the whole point, family, you have to understand, in a sense, is that it's hard to really get the literature, but we do know that just about every tribe. That's why the Spanish had a Moorish interpreter with them. Just about every tribe had somebody who could speak either Hebrew or Arabic, because of the fact is that they have been trading. Because see, the Moors were going up and down the coast, all the way from Brazil, all the way to Canada, selling tobacco.
Right.
That's why, in a sense, in many villages, that's why the Spanish, when they came, see, remember, the Spanish didn't come over here, they knew where they were going. Because the Moors had already been trading over here. And that's why, in a sense, they brought with them interpreters who could speak Arabic or Hebrew or both, because they knew that in most Indian villages, they could find someone who could speak Arabic or Hebrew.
Right.
I hope that answered your question. I don't know.
Yeah. I appreciate you. I appreciate your knowledge, your understanding, for coming on Sonetta and taking the time to share, especially to share your 50 books and the fact that you are peer reviewed, because now I know, and I can use as an example who is.
Yeah.
I keep hearing them talking about it, but nobody ever shows what peer review means. So,
like the Amun-Ra squad, those jokers, they always like to call everything pseudo. That's why I wanted to show you that at the PMC, the National Federation of Peer Review, those are just 3 of my peer reviewed articles. I got so many peer reviewed articles out of sight, but the whole point is that it's just hard for Black people to believe that there's a real scholar, a real researcher. I was lucky enough that my wife, my baby doll said, "Nigga, you got to get out there and you got to do the history and you got to tell our people what's going on." She said, "I hate the fact," and this is what my baby doll said till the day she died. She said, "I hate the fact these people took our language away from us. They took our language." She said, Clyde, don't let them steal our history. See, don't let them steal our history. The only thing I'm sad about today, I'm sad that we don't have any people in the Caribbean who really writing their history. We don't have no people in the Caribbean writing their history. They keep talking that colonialism shit. They got a beautiful damn history, a history that goes back thousands of years, but they're not writing their history, and it makes me sad. Makes me very sad. I'm sorry. I don't like to start preaching, but
Dr. Williams, in conclusion, I just like to say, in the ancient Hebrew language, Barakathon, which means bless you. Shalom, which means peace.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Possible. All right. You can ask another one if you stay long. All right. Let me get the Kanisha Morgan. Is that, could I say that right?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
You are on the
Okay.
clock. So go ahead.
Yes. Thanks for having me on. So I appreciate you. I'm the one that called you from the car and told you to bring on Dr. Winters. You remember?
I remember.
Yes.
Wow! Wow!
I'm the one that called you from the car and told you bring Dr. Clyde Winters on the school these because I'm tired of the BS.
But I'm gonna tell you, sister, that's exactly why I contacted him. When you hit me up, that's when I said, "Oh, I got to call the brother." And I looked him up myself, and I started looking, and I said, "Yeah, let me contact him." And so that's the reason why I did, because of your call. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sal, for that. So I have a question for Dr. Winters. I watched one of your recent presentations on like just the whole origin of mankind. And I'm still a little confused on like your teachings on like what do we look like when we were first created? Because I know you're talking about, how things changed in the mountains or whatever, people changed there.
Yeah,
Like
we
what was the image of God? Is that even real at all, that we were created in the image of God? If so, what was that? That's my question.
Well, God would have looked like you. The only changes that took place in terms of black people, the only changes that took place in terms of black people is that during the Younger Dryas, 10,000 years ago, there was a new ice age, and when this new ice age occurred, many of the black people who lived in Europe ran into the caves, and when they ran into the caves, over the next 6,000 years, they devolved. They lost their pigmentation and they turned into Caucasians. See, there's a difference between Caucasians and white Arabs. There's a difference. And see, the Caucasians, they lived in the caves for 6,000 years, and since they came out around after the volcano eruption in Santorino, they've been tearing the ish up, and they hate us. And they hate us because we still carry our melanin, and they lost their melanin. So that's about it.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I love your channel. I've probably seen all your 300 videos that you have on there. And
Thank
like I
you.
said, I think that you're awesome. I have a lot of your books too. Not all of them, but I have like 20 probably.
Whoa. Okay. Damn.
So
You're
I really
beautiful
think
woman.
that your work is amazing.
Thank you.
And so many people are asleep on you. I know that a lot of what is his name? Renoko Rashidi knew was because of you. I
Yeah,
knew
I
that.
taught him, but he
Yeah,
was
but he didn't
he
give
was
you
like
credit
no,
for that.
he was a brother fucker. What I mean by a brother fucker is that oh yeah, you're laughing, Sonetta. There are brother fuckers and sister fuckers.
What do you mean by that, man?
Okay, a brother fucker is somebody in a sense. Instead of trying to support a brother, they will steal your work and put you down.
Oh,
And so then and you have sister fuckers too. These are women who instead of being supportive of other black women, they tear them down. You see, yeah. See, but I still like Renoko, and Renoko. But see, Renoko was a photojournalist. What I mean by that is that he took a lot of beautiful pictures. He took pictures of black people everywhere. But whereas he's a photojournalist, I'm a historian anthropologist. So whereas he just shows the who, I show the why and the how they got there. But he's a great researcher too.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you for your support this morning.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to my brother Owens. Owens, you are on the call. What it is, my brother? Come on, we can't hear you, brother. Let me.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm always supportive of you. I have a question, and it as far as religion, I would like your opinion on religion, because it looks like it's the greatest weapon that the colonizer has used to keep us separated, arguing, fighting, and everything else, and keeps us away from learning and knowing ourselves. And I came to I heard something with Billy Carson, which is I agree with a lot of things he said. It's just like he ran down a lot of history on religion, and it seems like the conclusion that he came to, and I'm coming to it also, that we're not really we're worshiping a god that is not a god, but is that's really a demon. Because when you look at you read the Bible, there's nothing positive about it. That's why I'm with you, side, in your belief. I am 100%. I think the colonizer got them uh, worshiping the wrong God.
Yeah.
And they are tied up in it. They refuse to, open their mind to learn anything other, or to grow in consciousness, in real consciousness, to know that they're, how should I say it? Uh, they are the extension of creation.
All
So
right,
I
listen.
would just like your opinion.
Yes.
Well, I don't declare any religion. I just call myself a believer. I believe in God.
Oh, yes.
I'll give you an example. Oliver Cromwell. Oliver Cromwell was a black Protestant, and he was the leader of England. Oliver Cromwell. Oliver Cromwell between 1651 and 1659, he killed over 600,000 black Irish because they
Yes.
were Catholics.
Mm,
600,000.
that's
And
what
he
I'm
was
talking
black
about.
too. But see, that's why this my whole worldview is topsy-turvy. You see,
Yes.
yes, religion, but it's not the religion. Nothing wrong with the religion. It's the things that people do with religion to control other people and to maintain wealth and to maintain power. There's nothing wrong with religion. You can have a faith in God. Remember all the Egyptians. The Egyptians had what, 42 gods, a god over every sippat, but they still believed in the God, the creator God, which was Amma or Amun, sometimes Ra. So it's nothing wrong with religion. It's the people. The people, they take their faith. That's why if you ask me what my religion is, I'm going to tell you I believe in God. That's all. Because all
Yeah,
it
but
does is create disunity and trouble.
that's what But that's what I noticed. It's just division. It's just division. And what the religion does is teaching you to be outside of yourself, looking for the answers outside, when all the answers are within. Because you are part of that entity. You're a part of creation. So everything is within you. And I agree with Sai. Either you're gonna uh gravitate to the lower self or the higher self, but it's all within you.
But see,
And everything that you need to know, if you go within and tap that energy that's within you, then you tap the wisdom and knowledge of the true creation. And the other thing that I have a problem with, they put it as a male or female. To me, the creation doesn't have as far as a male or female. This is an energy
You are
that
watching a master at work.
that's a creator of all creation of everything, and we're a part of that. And if the people want to take religion and use it, because if they want to follow Christ, even in some of the things that was said, he said, "Don't look at me." He said, "Don't follow me. Greater things that you can do."
yeah.
All right, let's move on. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate that. Thank you. You want to respond, Clyde, or do you want me to move on to the next one?
You can move on to the next one. The brother's absolutely correct. Religion can cause problems, but the thing is this, is that all you can do is live by your faith and live by your example.
Right.
But I mean, none of us like Jehovah's Witnesses, so what could I say?
All right. I'm over here with my little brother coming on in now. Revelation X. What's up, brother? You on the call.
Yeah. Peace and love to you. Let me first apologize for not being able to come up. Peace and love to you, my elder, and blessed night to you. You good?
Good.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to try to do this as quick as I can. And Sanata, salute to you again, my general. I'm kind of going through something right now, and I'll do it quickly, but I first want to just ask the question. So the question to you, my elder, would basically be, how do you serve your people without having your people throw you under the bus for the colonizer? Now, the reason I'm asking the question, I'm gonna do it as quick as I can. This is something that is happening in real time right now in my country and with myself. I live in Trinidad and Tobago. We have a population of approximately 1.6 million people. There is a lot of, murders in my country, as a matter of fact, and I'm just going to keep it real. Annually, we probably clock about 500-600, and that's just murders, and police killings are not counted in that number. So the numbers can probably double or even triple because the police do a lot of killings. Now, I am not for any type of murders, whether it be the police killings or just people killing people. So what happened there's a YouTuber, he calls himself a journalist. His name is Chris Muslis. All right. And he's in the country. But what he does is he films the country, goes in depressed areas. I believe he was in Ukraine for the war, and Jamaica and Haiti and stuff. But the thing about it is what he does, he's basically, and he said it, he understands that people would use his platform to spread propaganda and probably perpetrate certain things. And when I saw what he was doing, he had the kids, the guys in my country pulling out guns and stuff. And I know that the police will see them and basically kill them. I'm just trying to speed up the story. So I did a blog telling the people in my town, which is in the south side of town, when this guy come down here, do not put up any guns, please. Don't do this. You guys are going to put yourselves up. And he saw it. At first it was good, but when he saw it, there was a storm load of people just coming at me as soon as he saw it, and he put it on his Instagram and stuff. And then I got calls. The man wants to meet you. He told me he wants to take me for lunch and everything and whatever. I keep putting up resistance, but then I said, okay, I'll just meet you. So then what do you feel happened, Sanata? The classic thing, I didn't tell him I would meet at my house. But one of my brothers.
Don't do that. Don't let him meet you at your house. No.
It already happened out there. And what do you think? This is why I'm talking, because what do you think happened? One of my little brothers, I'm talking about my little brother who I helped. I literally feed, clothe, and sheltered this youth, in the life, and help him sing, teach him how to write songs and everything. And I still love him, but he made the wrong move of bringing this man to my house.
Oh, man.
No.
It already happened, Sanata. And we reconciled things. I spoke to the guy because I couldn't just not come outside. Now he's in front of my house and they got cameras and stuff. So I spoke to him. It's actually up on YouTube and everything went really well. But I was looking at how this one person could bring all this negative energy. And as soon as he said, okay, guys, it's over, you can show me some love. Now I'm getting all this love right now. So again, the question is like, how do you show the love to your people and serve your people without them just being automatically ready to just throw you under the bus for the colonializer? Because I believe if this guy said, hey, nah, don't continue, I probably would still be getting negative energy, Sanata. And I'm sending any negative energy to the guy. Chris, if you're listening, Chris, I love you, and it's all good. Christmas list, and I don't hate white people. He keep pulling the race card, telling me that I hate white people. And I don't, I love white people, providing that they love me and they're good. It's that simple. Mm-hmm. But, well, again, my question, I don't mean to be long-winded, but it's a really heavy topic. So how do I serve my people in the right way without them actually just throwing me under the bus for the colonizer? How do you do that?
What you have to do, you serve your people by being an example. You serve your people by being an example of a brother who's not a brother fucker. You serve your people in a sense by just trying to be you, but being there. You see, because it's very complicated. We like to think that change comes about by having large groups of people. We think that if we got a large group of people, maybe 20, 30, a couple of thousand, that's going to lead to great change. But no, change in a sense comes from you leading a good example. You, when people see you, they say, damn, look at this brother. This brother carries himself the right way. This brother, he seemed like he loved black people. This brother, in a sense, he's down to earth. He's for real. I think I want to be like that brother. And then if he see you and then somebody else see you, then you can see the movement. Because remember, we're taught over here in America, we're taught over here that the white supremacists, they play both sides. What that means is that sometimes you can see a brother, and you can say, damn, that brother, he's really good. He really for the people. But sometimes some of the things that brother might do can be looking positive, but at the same time, the European can be using him to cause division, to cause separation, to cause problems. You see? And so, you have to really think, and you have to try to live by your example and let people look at you and say, damn, that's a brother I want to be like.
You know what? I thank you so much for that. And I'm sorry, sir. I don't mean to cut you off, but I have to thank him. And I will say this much. When I did the video, a lot of people stopped showing this guy's guns. I'm talking about the other video that he did. They showed no guns. So it's like the example had already been set. And I see where you're getting at when you said that. I just want to say thank you. Thanks, sir. That's it.
Yes. I mean, how many times I said the same thing that Dr. Clyde just said when I said, when you see a Hebrew Israelite who really believes that book, that's what you should see, a glow, a shine right behind them, where people say, I want to be like that. Not a Hebrew that's out there cursing and going crazy and banging and being rude to women and disrespect. That's not it. Yeah. But let me move on over to my brother, Elder Suntan. What's up, Suntan?
What's up, Si? Peace to the brother. Who is that? How do I pronounce your name, brother?
Clyde.
Dr. Clyde.
Okay, here you go. I just have a quick, direct question for you, and this is a phrase that I coined in America and all the way back from ancient times. Right now, through the colonizer, we have been systematically brainwashed. So, and I say that as a whole because individuals have been great, as yourself and as other people I know, as far as money and as far as intelligence and things of that nature. But as a whole, our culture has been systematically brainwashed. What do you say to that?
What I say is that you're absolutely correct, because see, many of us suffer from what's called CAIDS. CAIDS is culturally acquired immune identity deficiency syndrome. And what this is that because of the fact that we're trying to be like Europeans, you see, let me explain to you. Many black people feel that they want to be just as good as the white man. And they'll tell you, I'm just as good as the white man. Whenever you find a brother who says he's just as good as a white man, that brother's lost. And I'm going to tell you why that brother's lost. That brother's lost because you live under a system of white supremacy. Under a system of white supremacy, the European has created in a sense, a system of racism. They put you in a race that you're going to lose, and they're going to win based upon their privilege and their white skin. Therefore, when you say you're just as good as the white man, you're lost. Because see, the white man don't think you're just as good as him. The white man think you're better than him. You know the white man think you're better than him because the fact is that he's set up a system. He's set up a system of racism.
Yes.
He's set up a system of white supremacy.
Yes.
Therefore, the minute you think you're as good as the white man, you're lost. Because he feels you're better than him. I'm sorry.
Brother Clyde, that's why I brought that about, because it's a point of white supremacy that this system has systematically brainwashed our people. They made dark skin a stigma. You understand me? You could go out and have a whole room full of billionaires, right? Black men, young black men. And the first thing they're going to do when it comes for a mate is go pick a white woman. They're not going to pick a beautiful black woman. And I'm not speaking directly. I'm just speaking as a whole. So when I say that, I ponder these things and I'm okay with it because the simple fact that you can't change nobody. And then you said something that's really touched me just a few minutes ago. because I used to be a Christian hard. You know, I was scared, you know, a scared Christian. But right now, I just believe that there's a God. And and my belief is just spirituality, because things have happened in my life that I don't have to tell you about. You can say make a testimony, but I'm not going by no book, right? I'm just going by how I feel and what I know is right and wrong. And once you do that, then you're a genuine person, from wherever you coming from, right? You being genuine within yourself. So the systematic brainwashing has come from white supremacy, and we are under that system. And Black is a stigma toward our people that we're going to study, have a problem with until righteousness comes. So I'll rest right there, and I appreciate what you said. One more thing. Hey, Brother Sai, Brother Salone made a very good point over the debate with the Hebrews, Brother Clyde. We had these guys doing two Bibles, a Holy Bible and a Waski Bible. And this one Black dude from this different Bible, he said something, because I don't go by either one of them. Both of the knowledge is true. You can take it from it what you want, and you can grow on it. But here's the thing, what he said. And I've been telling these people that, because I tell the Hebrews that, you know, we got a group of Black people who tell you that you don't understand the scripture if you don't believe how they believe it. You don't know, man. You just don't understand. But here's my thing. This guy from this Owaski Bible, I forgot his name. He got dreadlock. He showed these guys that all of these things that they believe in, all these people that they have put up was Europeans. He said, now where's the Black man in all of these things? And I was asked, go ahead.
Well, see, that right there, that's a problem. And the problem is that's why you do research. That's why you do research. Do you know that many, I'm going to go with Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin wrote in 1751. He said that the only white people, 1751, he said the only white people was the Saxons. He said the Germans, the Portuguese, the Spanish were Black. Let me explain to you, brother. A lot of people who you think were white, Sephardic Jews, a lot of people you think was white in Europe, they weren't white. You got to look at the original descriptions of these people by the people who saw them. And you'll find that many of these people were really Black. That's why I was looking at your earlier show, and they was talking about the Black people in the Bible. All those damn people in the 1600s, they was all Black. Wasn't no damn white people. Look, this is it. Black people were the rulers. I just told you how the war between the Catholics and the Protestants in Britain was between the Black Protestants and the Black Catholics. During the 30-year war, these niggas fought each other and killed each other off. And then the white man said, you dumbass niggas. Then they took over the damn world. They took over the world because we were fighting. See, we're the only damn people. We can forgive anybody on the planet Earth. We can forgive anybody of any race, anybody of any religion, as long as they're not Black. But when they're Black, we give each other a hard time. We don't know how to love each other. We don't know how to respect each other. We don't know how to forgive each other. Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
It's very sad we don't know how to forgive each other. See, but we can forgive anybody else.
It's systematic brainwashing, brother.
It's not systematic brainwashing. It's not systematic brainwashing, man. Let me finish. Didn't the Africans sell other Africans into slavery? Didn't the Black Aboriginals sell other Black Aboriginals into slavery? Did the white man sell the white people into slavery? Hell no. Hell no. What I'm saying is, in a sense, we have to learn to respect and love each other and give each other forgiveness. We can forgive anybody. We got to learn to forgive each other. We got to learn to forgive each other. We just treat each other so damn bad. Terrible.
All right. Wolf Malone. Wolf, you got to turn on your camera if you want to come in.
Okay.
Wolf, you got to turn on your camera if you want to come in. All right. Let me go back around. Kanisha Morgan, what's up, sister? You want to say something else?
Nah, brother.
Oh, yes, Apostle.
Yeah.
Apostle. Let's go.
Thanks, Dr. Winters, for correcting that, because I told Sarnetta earlier today that Clyde basically lied during his presentation. I told that I am Sephardic. So when he showed that white picture of a Sephardic, he was lying. All he did was big up the white man and talk bad about the black man that was forced into slavery, as if his behind wasn't forced into slavery. Like all of a sudden he got some different kind of roots.
I don't
And
want
he
to.
didn't go through slavery.
I don't want to cut it off, but see, you had to understand this, Sonetta. You had to understand is that after in a sense after they defeated the Moors in 1492, then in a sense a lot of the Sephardic Jews who were black, they ran up into Britain. First they ran into Britain. Then when they ran into Britain, the British got jealous. Then the Sephardic Jews, then they ran into the Netherlands. You see. And then many of these Sephardic Jews who were black, they later came to America as crypto Jews and as crypto Moors. And these crypto Jews and crypto Moors, they were black. And so see, the whole problem that many people have is that they've been conditioned to see everything through white eyes because of Cades. Culturally acquired immune identity syndrome, you know. And what happens in a sense is that when black people catch Cades, what they do is that they lose their sense of blackness. And as they lose their sense of blackness, they lose their identity. And they began to think they're just as good as whites. And like I told you, when you think you're just as good as a white man, you may as well just give it on up because you're lost. Because they think you're superior to them. How can you be as good as some people who think you're superior? If they didn't think you were superior, there would be no white supremacy in the world today.
All right. Let me move on over to Wolf. Wolf, what's up, man? Talk
What's
to me.
going on, brother? Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. I was trying to work out the echo. Big ups to you, Dr. Winters, from Chicago, also. And what I wanted to bring up, something dealing with unified thought, because we all should know, instead of believing, that unified thought brings about unified action. All right. There was a time when black people all over the planet pretty much had unified thought. We didn't have much beliefs.
Yes, I just need you to ask the question, brother.
Yeah. So what I want to ask is, where do you think, or what do you think was the thought or the disagreement between black people that caused the first major divisions? Was it the Caucasians coming out of the ice, and should we show them compassion? Because the record shows that the Kushites was killing them on sight in Asia. Or was it something else that caused us to not be unified and start dividing ourselves in
the first thing was representation. What I mean by representation is that the Egyptians at first called themselves Kushites. Remember, the first nation of Egypt was called Taseti, and they called themselves Kushites. Then later, in a sense, they started saying that they were Comedians. And when they started saying they was Comedians, then they started getting in friction with the people who called themselves Kushites. So it's always been representation. Who do you represent? See, black people have been unified when there's a federation. That means when there's a number of states forced to be together, you know. For example, in Egypt, as I said, was a Pan-African civilization. You know, ancient Mali had many different tribes. The Akan, they didn't speak Mandingo, the Mandi and all that. They were part of the confederation. See, black people work out better when there's a confederated state or a federal state in which there can be different kings or different heads of state in each country, but they need somebody who can be the power. They can say, we'll kick your ass if you don't cooperate. Because go ahead.
What I'm asking is prior to Kemet, prior to what I'm talking about is let's go back to being realistic. All right.
Uh-huh.
Kemet had to be at least 10 to 15,000 years old when Menes unified it. reunify the matter. Because Kemet actually existed before that was in the Scorpion Kings, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so prior to that, there was a time, and maybe goes back to ancient Kush, when black people pretty much around the planet were unified. We didn't have world wars. We didn't have thefts. We didn't have, like you said, the backdoor brothers. We lived in everybody's house didn't have doors. How scared are you about somebody coming in robbing from if you ain't got no door on your house? All right. So what I'm asking is, what do you think was that division that had us starting to see each other as not family anymore, but as those factions that you spoke of?
As I said, representation. People started saying that I belong to this group, I belong to this group, and you belong to that group. And since you belong to that group, my group is better than your group. Then later we got into religions. Remember religions? Like I told you over there in British. Cromwell, let me finish. Cromwell, he was black. He was a Protestant.
Yes.
He killed 600,000 black Irish because they were Catholics.
Yeah, and that's by their
representation. And these were black people. These were black people. White people ain't rude-ish. White people just started ruling, man, in the 1800s and 1700s. Before the 30-Year War, all the elites in Europe were black. They fought each other, and when they fought each other, then the Caucasians said, we're going to take over. The white, that's been brainwashing by the European to make you think he's been ruling the world all these years. No. He hasn't been ruling this planet. He hasn't been in power and control. And in fact, look at this. The Moors went into Europe in 711 AD. Yes. And the Moors controlled Europe from 711 AD to 1492.
Yes, sir.
And so then, how the white man rule for 500, 2,000 years? No, stop it. That's all a myth.
Right. It was.
Go ahead.
Thank you, brother. No debate in the elder right now. Kanisha, do you want to say something else before I get Clyde to close this thing out? Do you want to say something else, sister?
No. Just thanks for having them on, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you for
being able to talk to you live, Dr. Winters.
Yes. So thank everybody for coming in. We got Apostle tomorrow at 3:30. No,
after the game.
About 6:30.
Yeah,
and we'll see Elder Apostle go in tomorrow. So, brother,
let me ask Dr. Clyde one more question.
Go ahead.
Dr. Clyde, when you were speaking of the Irish, would that go for the Scots as well? They were black too?
Yeah, the Scots and the Irish.
Right.
But see, the only people you heard about is the Irish that came over during the potato famine. Those were white Irish. What it is that they took the land. They brought in white people to replace the original black Irish. You see, that's why really you can look at some of the ship manifests, and you can see where your ancestors was on that manifest, coming over here as a chattel slave. And see, many people don't understand is that Oliver Cromwell, who was a black Protestant, he sold in a sense. He killed 600,000 black Jews, and then he sent 400,000 over his chattel slaves to be slaves for perpetuity. See, you see, that's why. How do you think we got the name? How I get the damn name Clyde? How I get Winters? You go look at the Dawes list, and you see all these names: McCoy, Winters, Maine, Kane. Where they come from? They came from back in the day on those plantations when there was an ethnogenesis. The black Irish and Aboriginals marrying each other. Then when the Aboriginals and Irish would run away from the plantation, they would go back and get them on the Aboriginal tribes. Then they would take on those names. You see, because we still have that thing. We have our surname. But come on, most of y'all, a lot of us don't even know the names of our real names of our cousins till we get grown, because we would call them Boo Man, Red Man, Sunny Man. We give each other those nicknames. That's how we still got that heritage.
Right.
Thank you, Annetta, for allowing me to.
All right. I would like you to go ahead and close us out, Dr. Clyde. Close us out of here, man. We out. Thank you.
Okay, family, I just wanted to say is that.
Oh, sorry. One more thing. Family, throw the Cash App in the chat one more time. Thank you, Bond Dog. Please support our brother. Please support our elder. Let's get him some. Let's give him some financial love here. Show him how we do it over here. Please, y'all. Let's do that.
I appreciate this, Netta, let me be on this platform. I want the family to understand is that we are the original people. We are Black, but remember, Black in Old English, Black in Latin, Black in the Greco-Roman language. Black means shining. Black means brilliant. So when you're B1, you're not only Black first. When you're B1, you're also brilliant first. So therefore, we're Black and we're brilliant. Have a great evening.
Okay.
It seemed like everybody watched the House of Consciousness. Got them tuning in here in the States to every continent. You got your holy book, your references and documents, then hit your brother's sign, get it cracking if you're confident. Sign at the TV, it don't get no more reality. It's helping us stay mindful of the struggle in totality. Humble yourself and let the commentary resonate. Living in these times, this here is sure to help you elevate. In a new zone. Hope the dialogue ain't too strong. Y'all know that we've been waiting too long. And ever since I stepped into this paradigm, most of the time all I got is building on the TV. There's a black throne where kings and queens come get their facts on. Just be prepared to have your mind blown. And ever since I stepped into this paradigm, most of the time all I got is freedom on my mind. For real.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?